Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're looking at the new cards coming out of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's, the anime, and these are from episode 55. Agile Dolphin is a level 2 water attribute sea serpent type effect monster. It's got 500 attack, but unfortunately we have no idea what its defense is, and apparently its effect is at the moment illegible. Takramos is a level 4 water attribute sea serpent type normal monster with 1500 attack and 1200 defense. It's a monster that we've seen before. It's actually from the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! For a level 4 at the moment, its attack stat is at the higher level that they currently limit them to, but in the future it's definitely going to be one of those forgotten about. Dolphin King Irukia is a level 6 water attribute sea serpent type normal monster with 2000 attack and 500 defense. For a level 6 monster, that's okay, considering it just needs the 1 tribute. But it's going to be forgotten about. You're going to have so many various sea serpents being released, especially if this character has any more story plot. Spike Cedra is a level 5 water attribute sea serpent type normal monster with 1600 attack and 1300 defense. Like Takramos, this has come out of the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! And for a level 5, it's not worth running considering its attack points. Levia-Dragon Daedalus is a level 7 water attribute sea serpent type effect monster with 2600 attack and 1500 defense. The requirement: you can activate by sending a face-up Yumi you control to the graveyard, and the effect is to destroy all other cards on the field. This is another key example of something that's been introduced from the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! More famously, it did have an anime appearance, episode 38, called Get Yar Game On, where Jaden had to face off against a pirate duelist whose whole plan was to have an undersea version of Duel Academy and for Jaden to help him run it. The one thing that's most interesting about this card is its new version, the Neo Daedalus, has not made an appearance in this, despite being almost as old as the Levia-Dragon itself. Shape of Aqua is a normal spell card with the requirement: you can activate by sending 1 spell or trap card from your hand to the graveyard. The effect is to choose 1 normal monster, it must be a water attribute, in your graveyard, and special summon it to your side of the field face up. During this turn, the special summoned monster loses 800 attack. This is basically a monster reborn for your water attribute monsters. The downsides of this include you have to get rid of a spell or trap card, and often if you don't draw into those, that means you can't activate this effect. The other thing is some of these spell and traps might actually be better than what this effect is. The effect also means that the monster summoned loses 800 attack for that turn, which makes it very vulnerable and means you're not likely to be attacking with that monster. Stormy Seas of Irukia is a normal trap card with the requirement: when a monster your opponent controls declares a direct attack, you can activate if you control a face-up Yumi or Big Ocean. The effect is to change the battle positions of all face-up monsters your opponent controls, then choose 1 Dolphin King Irukia in your graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field. Now, the benefits of this card is, firstly, it lets you bring out the Dolphin King, which is a 2000 attack monster, so unlikely your opponent's going to be able to get over this if the battle positions of all their monsters have been put into the opposite of what they want, which means all of your opponent's defensive monsters that are going into attack mode will probably have less attack than they do defense, and vice versa for their attack position monsters that'll be swapped into defense mode, and they'll often have lower defense than their attack. That means you might be able to stop attacks for the rest of that turn. The condition on this requires you to have 2 things. Your opponent has to make a direct attack, which in itself is very risky because they can just get rid of this before you activate this card. The other thing is you do need either face up as your field spell Yumi or Big Ocean. It's not surprising that this would be part of the condition, considering there are things like Tornado Wall that specify it must have Yumi on the field to activate the effect. Dolphin Counter is a normal trap card with the requirement: when a monster your opponent controls declares an attack, you can activate by shuffling 1 Yumi or Big Ocean from your graveyard into the deck. The effect is to destroy the monster your opponent controls that has the highest attack. Draw 1 card and reveal it. If that card is Yumi or Big Ocean, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. There are quite a few stages as to how this card works, but we'll start with the requirement. It just requires a monster your opponent has to declare an attack. It doesn't have to be a direct attack. just an attack will do. And you can shuffle your Yuumi or Big Ocean into the deck, which means you've got specific recovery for your field spell. So there aren't really any restrictions in terms of the requirement. The effect is also quite nice because it destroys the opponent's strongest attacking monster. So if they've got something that they haven't attacked with yet, but one of their other monsters is trying to attack, you've mitigated one of the biggest threats to you for that turn. You get to as well draw an additional card, and you've got the bonus if you happen to draw back into your field spell to be able to do another 500 points of burn damage. It's not a lot of damage, and also the chances of you going back into the field spell aren't particularly high, but even just drawing a new card and getting rid of your opponent's biggest threat is not a bad idea. And the final card is Stream. It's a field spell card with no requirements. The effect, while this card is face up in a field zone, face up monsters that are level 3 or lower fish type, sea serpent type, thunder type, and aqua type gain 600 attack and defense. This card reminds me a little bit of Wetlands, which is a field spell which allows all of your level 2 aqua type monsters or lower to gain 1200 attack. Yes, this isn't quite as powerful because it's only 600 attack and defense, but it applies to a lot more of your monsters. So that's actually 4 types as opposed to the 1. And it also increases the number of levels that are impacted. It's not just level 2 and level 1. This also factors in level 3s, which can make a big difference, as 600 for the time being is a decent stat increase. Of all the cards that I've mentioned, this Stream card is definitely my favourite. I think it's very versatile for what the decks rely on and what water type monsters actually need. I would argue this Trap card is a little bit weak because of the requirement of you specifically running a Dolphin King Irukia in your deck, and it also has to be in the graveyard to trigger off the effect and to special summon it. It also requires far too much interaction from your opponent, which is never a good thing. What do you think of these cards? Is there anything that you particularly like about any of them? Are there any cards that you didn't enjoy? Whatever you think, leave those comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily Yu-Gi-Oh content.